Force yourself to wake up early, even when your body tells you to sleep more. That moment when you choose discipline over comfort is the moment you start winning in life. High achievers don't just wake up early because it's a trend. They do it because they understand the power of those early hours. The world is quiet, the distractions are minimal, and your mind is fresh. That's the time when real progress is made, not when you're reacting to the day, but when you're creating it. If you want control over your life, start by controlling your mornings. Don't reach for your phone. Don't scroll. Don't hit snooze. Stand up, breathe deeply, and take command of your day. This is where strength is built. This is where success begins. Force yourself to wake up early, even when your body tells you to sleep more. That moment, when you choose discipline over comfort, is the moment you start winning in life. High achievers don't just wake up early because it's a trend. They do it because they understand the power of those early hours. The world is quiet. The distractions are minimal, and your mind is fresh. That's the time when real progress is made, not when you're reacting to the day, but when you're creating it. If you want control over your life, start by controlling your mornings. Don't reach for your phone. Don't scroll. Don't hit snooze. Stand up, breathe deeply, and take command of your day. This is where strength is built. This is where success begins. Stop negotiating with your alarm clock. Every time you snooze, you're training your mind to delay action. You're telling yourself that comfort is more important than growth. But the truth is, success does not come to those who sleep through their potential. It comes to those who rise with intention. When the rest of the world is asleep, you have a golden window to work on your goals, your fitness, your mindset, and your vision. It's not just about being awake. It's about being ahead. It's about choosing purpose over pleasure, long-term gain over short-term comfort. Those first hours of the morning are not ordinary hours. They are sacred. They are yours. No one is texting you. No one is calling you. There's no noise, no rush. Just you, your thoughts, and the opportunity to create momentum. Read something powerful. Write down your goals. Plan your day. Move your body. Do something that feeds your soul, because how you start your day sets the tone for everything that follows. Your morning routine is a mirror of your mindset. If you start your day with chaos, you're more likely to carry that energy into every task you touch. But if you start with structure, clarity, and purpose, you move with confidence. You walk into challenges already prepared. You face distractions with discipline. This is not just about productivity. It's about building a life where you are in charge, where you don't react to pressure, but respond with power. The strongest people you admire, the leaders, the visionaries, the creators, they all have one thing in common. They guard their mornings like their lives depend on it, because in a way they do. Those quiet hours are when you build your edge. That edge compounds over time. A 5 a.m. start might not show results tomorrow, but keep showing up for 6 months, for a year, and your entire life will shift. Your mind sharpens. Your focus deepens. Your confidence grows. The early hours are not just a time to do more. They are a time to become more. When you wake up before the sun, before the noise, before the world demands your attention, you create space to meet yourself, to confront your doubts, to reaffirm your vision, to work on the things that matter, not just the things that are urgent. Most people live in reaction mode. They chase deadlines, rush through tasks, and end the day exhausted, wondering where the time went. But you choose a different path. You choose to lead your day, not follow it. That's where the transformation begins. In the discipline of saying no to another hour of sleep. In the strength to choose cold water over warm comfort. In the focus to read, to write, to move your body while others are still dreaming. This is how winners are made, not through luck, not through talent, but through consistency, through those small, repeated decisions that no one sees, but everyone notices when the results appear. Waking up early is not just a habit. It's a statement, a declaration that you're serious about your life, your goals, and your future. You have to understand, discipline is a muscle. And like any muscle, it grows with use and weakens with neglect. Every time you wake up early, even when you don't feel like it, you are training your willpower. You are building mental toughness. You are telling your future self, I've got your back. That decision to rise early becomes a foundation for every other decision throughout your day. You eat better because you started strong. You think clearer because you weren't rushed. You stay focused because you've already done the hard thing first. People may not see the effort you put in at 5 a.m., but they will see the results. They will see the discipline in your body, the sharpness in your speech, the peace in your attitude, and the confidence in your stride. And more importantly, you will feel it. You will walk into your day knowing you've already won before the world even got out of bed. That inner victory becomes your armor. It becomes your edge in a world full of distractions and excuses. Most people wait for motivation to act, but those who master their mornings understand a deeper truth. Action creates motivation, not the other way around. When you wake up early and move with purpose, you ignite something within yourself. You create momentum. That first decision to get up sets off a chain of discipline that carries through your entire day. It's not about feeling ready. It's about being committed. Committed to your vision, committed to your growth, committed to the version of yourself you're trying to become. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be consistent. Even on the days you slip, you get back up the next morning and try again. That's how resilience is built. Not through comfort, but through struggle. Not through ease, but through effort. When you rise before the world, you're not just gaining hours. You're gaining clarity. You're creating mental space. You're giving yourself the opportunity to lead your life with intention instead of reacting to it blindly. That's the power of early rising. It shapes not only your day, but your destiny. If you want to separate yourself from the average, start with your mornings. Most people live in patterns of delay. They postpone decisions, delay actions, and put off what truly matters. But the elite, the doers, the creators, the leaders, they move early. They know time is their most valuable asset, and they refuse to waste it. They don't rely on willpower alone. They build systems, routines, and habits that carry them through when motivation fades. And it all begins with that first hour of the day. Your morning is your launch pad. It determines your altitude. If you launch slowly, filled with distractions and chaos, you'll spend the rest of the day trying to catch up. But if you launch with clarity, intention, and energy, you move ahead of the curve. You move with momentum. And momentum is everything. It multiplies your results. It turns effort into achievement. It transforms goals into reality. That's why protecting your morning is not a luxury, it's a necessity. You don't need a perfect morning routine. You need a powerful one. One that aligns with your goals, your values, and your vision. It doesn't have to be complicated. It just has to be intentional. Wake up, move your body, feed your mind, plan your day, and set your energy. That's it. Simple steps done consistently beat complex plans done occasionally. The goal is not just to check off tasks. The goal is to condition your mind for excellence, to train your brain to operate from a place of clarity, not confusion, from purpose, not pressure. And the beauty is this discipline spills into everything else. You start making better decisions throughout the day. You stop chasing comfort and start chasing growth. You speak with more conviction. You work with more focus. You rest with more peace. All because you chose to start your day on your terms. When you take charge of your mornings, you are telling the world, and more importantly, yourself, that you are in control, that you are not here to drift. You are here to build. This isn't about waking up early just for the sake of it. It's about what that early wake up represents. It represents control over your impulses. It represents a commitment to self-respect. It shows that you're willing to do what most people won't so you can live how most people can't. It's a mindset shift, a declaration that you're done living passively, that you're done letting life happen to you. You've decided to step into the driver's seat. You've decided to become intentional, disciplined, and focused. And yes, there will be days when it feels hard, days when your bed feels warmer than your goals. But that's exactly when the magic happens, when you push through the resistance, when you silence the voice that says, just 5 more minutes, because every time you do, you reinforce your identity as someone who shows up no matter what. You stop being a slave to your feelings and start being a servant to your future. That's how real transformation begins, not in comfort, but in commitment. The truth is, your morning is your first victory of the day. And when you win the morning, you set a tone of success for everything that follows. That one decision, to rise with purpose instead of delay, creates a ripple effect. It builds discipline. It builds self-trust, because every time you keep a promise to yourself, you grow stronger. You build integrity with your own mind. And when your mind knows you can be trusted, it works for you, not against you. This is where confidence is born, not from applause or validation, but from the quiet pride of doing what's right even when no one's watching. That early morning struggle, that decision to act when it's hard, that's where greatness begins. You don't need to announce it. You don't need to post about it. Just do it. Let your results speak. Let your growth tell the story. And let your morning discipline become your secret weapon in a world addicted to excuses. You must protect your mornings like your life depends on it, because it does. Your energy, your mindset, your productivity, even your emotional stability, all of it starts with how you begin your day. If the first hour of your morning is chaotic, distracted, and reactive, that energy carries into everything else. But if the first hour is calm, intentional, and focused, that power becomes your foundation. That's not just routine. That's strategy. That's ownership. And ownership is everything. When you stop blaming the world, your past, or your circumstances, and you start owning your time, your choices, and your habits, that's when life begins to change. That's when you stop surviving and start leading. And it doesn't matter how early you start. What matters is that you start with intention, that you decide this time is sacred. It's your time to align your mind, set your goals, and sharpen your spirit before the world tries to dull it. If you truly want to elevate your life, you have to elevate your standards. And your standards are reflected in what you tolerate, especially from yourself. When you allow yourself to sleep in every day, skip your routine, and delay your purpose, you're training your mind to settle. But when you rise early, stick to your habits, and pursue your goals before the world even wakes up, you're training your mind to lead. That leadership starts internally, long before it shows externally. And here's the truth: no one is coming to save you. No one is going to drag you out of bed, make you work on your dreams, or hold you accountable to your highest self. That job is yours. That responsibility is yours. And that power is yours. You don't need permission to live intentionally. You need commitment. You need a reason so strong that even when you're tired, even when you feel like giving up, you keep moving, because your vision matters, because your life matters, and because settling is no longer an option. The world is full of distractions, noise, and demands. From the moment you check your phone, open your inbox, or scroll through social media, you're handing your mind over to external control. But when you claim the first part of your day for yourself, you build a fortress around your focus. You set the tone instead of letting the world set it for you. That time becomes your anchor, your reset, your moment to remind yourself who you are, what you want, and why it matters. You don't rise early just to be productive. You rise early to be powerful, to reconnect with your inner clarity, your deeper purpose, and your personal mission. That's silence before the world wakes up. It's sacred. It's where you hear the voice of your highest self, the one that's buried beneath the chaos of everyday life, the one that reminds you you are not here to merely exist. You are here to rise, to evolve, to lead yourself forward, one disciplined morning at a time. Every disciplined morning you create becomes a brick in the foundation of your future. One day, you'll look back and realize it wasn't the big moments that changed your life. It was the small decisions, the early alarms, the quiet journaling, the focused planning, the workouts when no one was watching. Those small acts of discipline, repeated over time, compound into unshakable confidence and unstoppable momentum. Success doesn't arrive in a flash. It arrives in layers built quietly in the early hours when the rest of the world is asleep. This is why so many people never reach their potential. They keep waiting for motivation, for perfect timing, for someone to push them. But champions don't wait, they act. They rise before the excuses. They create conditions for success instead of hoping for it. And when you commit to mastering your mornings, you stop being controlled by life and start becoming the one who creates it. You move from reaction to creation, from chaos to clarity, from average to excellence. When you win your mornings, you begin to win your identity. You stop identifying as someone who gives up easily, who sleeps through opportunities, who breaks promises to themselves. Instead, you start identifying as someone who shows up, who follows through, who sets the tone instead of absorbing it. That shift in identity is the foundation of lasting change, because we always act in alignment with who we believe we are. And when you believe you're disciplined, you act disciplined. When you believe you're in control, you stop giving your power away. That's the deeper power of a morning routine. It's not about checking boxes or being busy. It's about becoming the kind of person who leads their life from within. Someone who doesn't wait for energy, but generates it. Someone who doesn't follow moods, but follows principles. And that kind of person becomes unstoppable. Not because life is easy, but because they've trained themselves to be strong, focused, and grounded before the day even begins. You must understand discipline is not a punishment. It's a pathway to freedom. The freedom to think clearly. The freedom to move confidently. The freedom to build a life that aligns with your values, not your urges. And it all starts with your morning. Because that's where you prove to yourself every single day that you are in control, that you can delay gratification, that you can lead your body instead of being led by it, that you can choose long-term growth over short-term comfort. Most people let the morning slip through their fingers. They hit snooze, they rush, they react, and then they wonder why the rest of the day feels chaotic. But not you. You're different. You've made a decision. You've drawn a line in the sand. From now on, your mornings are sacred. They are not for scrolling, complaining, or drifting. They are for rising, building, and owning the direction of your life. You've chosen to stop being a victim of the day and start being the architect of it. It's not about being perfect. It's about being intentional. There will be days when you feel tired, unmotivated, or thrown off track. That's normal. What matters is that you don't let those days become your default. What matters is that you come back stronger the next morning, that you return to your habits, that you keep the promise, because it's the consistency that transforms you, not the perfection. It's the decision to show up even when it's hard that separates the committed from the casual. And remember, no one sees the early mornings. No one claps for the silent wins. But they show in your results. They show in your energy, your focus, your attitude, your progress. While others wonder how you're doing it, you'll know. You'll know it's the work you did in silence, the habits you honored when no one was watching, the discipline you built when the world was still asleep. That's what creates excellence. That's what builds legacy. The truth is, the morning isn't just a time of day. It's a declaration. It's your way of telling the universe, I'm serious about my growth. I'm committed to my vision. I'm willing to do what most won't so I can live how most can't. That mindset, when repeated daily, rewires your brain. It builds resilience. It builds clarity. It builds internal strength that no one can give you and no one can take away. This is how you take control of your life one morning at a time, not by waiting for motivation, not by reacting to circumstances, but by rising with purpose. Each day you rise early, you step into your power. You don't just chase dreams, you prepare for them. You don't just hope for a better life, you build it before breakfast. That's what separates the people who talk about change from those who actually live it. Your morning routine becomes your daily reminder that you are not at the mercy of your environment. You are not a product of chance. You are a creator. You are responsible, and you are capable of shaping your mind, body, and soul through intentional action. When you train yourself to start the day with focus, discipline, and purpose, you create a ripple effect that touches every other area of your life. Your health improves. Your mindset sharpens. Your confidence grows. Your productivity increases. And more than anything, your relationship with yourself transforms. Because every morning you follow through, you build trust. You begin to believe yourself when you say you're going to do something. You stop negotiating with excuses. You stop lowering your standards. And you start becoming the kind of person you respect. That self-respect becomes your fuel. That internal pride becomes your engine. And from there, you don't need external motivation. You've become your own fire. You won't need to convince anyone of your transformation. Your presence will speak for itself. The way you carry yourself, the energy you bring, the calm in your voice, the clarity in your eyes. People will feel the difference before you even say a word. Because when you consistently rise before the world, you rise above the world. You operate on a different frequency. One of intention, discipline, self-respect, and purpose. That's the quiet power of the morning. It doesn't scream. It doesn't brag. It builds. It grounds you. It shapes you in ways the world may never fully understand, but you will. And that's all that matters. Because this journey isn't about proving anything to others. It's about becoming everything you were meant to be. And that process begins not at noon, not on Monday, not when you feel like it, but when you take back your mornings and reclaim your life. When you embrace early mornings, you start to understand the difference between movement and progress. Most people are busy all day, yet they're not moving forward. They're distracted, scattered, chasing noise. But you begin your day with intention. Before the world demands your attention, you've already poured into yourself. You've trained your body, sharpened your mind, and aligned your goals. You're not chasing the day, you're leading it. And that's why you start seeing results others can't. Not because you're better, but because you're more disciplined. While others are reactive, you're proactive. While others live by default, you live by design. And this gap, this small difference in how you start your day, multiplies over time. 1 year of disciplined mornings will take you further than 10 years of scattered effort. Because success is not about how much you do. It's about how consistently you do what matters most. And what matters most is not the number of hours you work, but the quality of your focus. You could work 8 hours distracted or 3 hours with intense clarity, and the difference in results will be massive. That clarity, that ability to concentrate deeply, is cultivated in the silence of the morning. When your phone isn't buzzing, when the world isn't pulling you in every direction, when you are fully present with your goals, your thoughts, your vision. That's when breakthroughs happen. That's when you hear the inner voice that gets drowned out during the chaos of the day. That's when you find answers, direction, inspiration. The early hours aren't just quiet. They're sacred. They are your daily meeting with yourself. Miss that meeting often enough, and you lose connection with who you are becoming. But honor that meeting, and you build a relationship with your future that no one can shake. Your future is being written in the dark hours of the morning, long before anyone sees the results, long before anyone claps for your success, long before anyone understands your commitment. But that's the point. This journey is not about applause. It's about alignment. It's about building a life that reflects your values, your vision, your deepest sense of purpose. And that life is not built in bursts of motivation. It's built in quiet moments of consistency. You show up, you do the work, you stick to the plan, day after day. And over time, the gap between who you are and who you want to be starts to close. Not because of some miracle, not because of luck, but because you decided to control your mornings, and through that, you started controlling your life. That's the real shift. That's the unseen discipline that becomes unstoppable power, not overnight, but every morning. And once you build that power, everything changes. Your standards rise. Your thinking elevates. Your tolerance for distractions drops. You no longer waste time trying to explain your goals to people who don't understand them. You no longer entertain habits that drain your energy. You stop negotiating with your potential. Why? Because you've already seen what you're capable of when you lead your day, when you own your mornings. That ownership becomes a lifestyle. It doesn't matter what season of life you're in, student, entrepreneur, parent, employee, it applies to all, because structure creates freedom. And the structure of a powerful morning gives you the clarity and strength to handle whatever life throws at you. You become less reactive, more grounded, more intentional. You stop chasing balance and start living with alignment, because it all began with one decision: to wake up and take full responsibility. That decision ripples into everything else. When you consistently show up for yourself in the morning, you develop an inner integrity that guides every other choice throughout the day. You're less likely to waste time. less likely to procrastinate, less likely to give in to temporary pleasure at the cost of long-term purpose. Why? Because you already did the hard thing. You already proved to yourself, before the world even opened its eyes, that you're in control. And that control becomes your identity. You no longer wait to feel ready. You no longer depend on motivation. You operate from a deeper place, discipline. And from that place, you lead your life with confidence. Not arrogance, but certainty. The certainty that comes from consistently doing what you said you would do. The certainty that builds when you no longer break promises to yourself. That's where real self-respect is born, not in public victories, but in private victories. Private victories shape public success. The world sees the results, but it never sees the discipline behind them, the sacrifices, the early mornings, the silent struggles. But you lived it. You earned it. And that's why it means more, because it wasn't handed to you. You didn't wait for ideal conditions. You didn't make excuses. You built momentum through repetition, through routine, through relentless commitment to your vision. And that's the true reward. Not just the success you achieve, but the person you become in the process. Someone who doesn't fold under pressure. Someone who doesn't quit when it gets hard. Someone who leads from within. And that kind of power can't be bought. It can't be borrowed. It's built day by day, morning by morning, in silence, in sweat, in stillness. That's where transformation lives, not in a moment of glory, but in the daily grind that no one applauds. And the best part is it's available to anyone. You don't need special talent. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need approval from anyone. All you need is a decision, a real one. A decision to stop sleeping through your potential. A decision to stop letting the world dictate your pace. A decision to take back the first hour of your day and turn it into the foundation of your greatness. Because that's what it becomes, a foundation. You don't build a strong life on a weak morning. You don't build confidence by hitting snooze. You don't build discipline by following comfort. You build it when you rise while the rest of the world sleeps. When you keep promises to yourself. When you trade excuses for effort. When you turn your mornings into a declaration of who you are becoming. That's where real change starts. Not in some distant future, but in the next morning you choose to rise. The next morning matters more than you think. It's not just another day, it's another chance. Another opportunity to rewrite your story, to rise above your past, to prove to yourself that you're not stuck, that you're not defined by your mistakes or failures, that every single morning you get to start fresh and build forward with clarity, courage, and conviction. Because what you do in the morning sets the tone for everything that follows. You don't need to control the whole day. Just master the first hour. That 1 hour, if owned with intention, can shift your mindset, your energy, your entire trajectory. You read, you move, you reflect, you plan, not for perfection, but for alignment. That's where you find peace, not in controlling the chaos, but in anchoring yourself before it begins. Because once you're anchored, the storms of life may come, but they won't shake your foundation. And you don't have to overhaul your life in one morning. It starts small. Wake up 30 minutes earlier. Use that time to journal your thoughts, move your body, read something that feeds your mind, breathe, think, feel. Step into the day with presence instead of pressure. Build it gradually. Let your morning routine evolve as you evolve. What matters is that you claim it, that you stop surrendering your power to the demands of the world before you've even met yourself. Because when you skip that morning connection, you drift. You become reactive. You start chasing instead of creating. But when you start your day with alignment, you move differently. You make decisions from clarity, not chaos. You speak from purpose, not pressure. You move with peace, not panic. And that, over time, shapes not just better days, but a better life. A life that reflects who you truly are and what you're here to do. You weren't born to live on autopilot. You weren't meant to just survive the day, check boxes, and fall into bed wondering where your time went. You were born with intention, and you thrive when you live with intention. That starts with how you rise. Not just physically, but mentally and spiritually. Each morning is a message. It asks, are you leading your life or just reacting to it? Your answer isn't found in your words, but in your actions, in your routine. So, ask yourself, what kind of life are you building before the world wakes up? Are you building habits that match your goals? Are you investing in the mindset you want to live from? Are you rising with purpose? Or just rolling into another day of distraction? The answers don't require perfection. They require honesty. They require responsibility. And most of all, they require you to show up, because no one else can do your mornings for you. No one else can give you the discipline, the energy, or the focus that a powerful morning can create. You have to earn it. You have to protect it. You have to fight for it when it's easier to sleep in, when no one's watching, when it's dark and quiet, and every excuse feels justified. That's the moment that matters. That moment when you choose your future over your feelings. That's where champions are made, not in applause, but in silence. Because the morning doesn't care about your mood. It doesn't care how tired you are or how late you stayed up. It only responds to what you do. And when you consistently choose to rise, to lead, to own your hours, the world around you begins to shift. Opportunities open. Confidence grows. Purpose deepens. Not because the world changed, but because you did. You became the kind of person who doesn't wait for life to happen. You make it happen. That shift, that inner transformation, is what separates those who merely wish for success from those who create it. The wishers wait for motivation. The creators build systems. They understand that success is not a moment. It's a pattern, a rhythm, a lifestyle. And that lifestyle begins at dawn, not with grand gestures, but with quiet consistency, with small wins repeated daily, with effort that compounds until it becomes your identity. You don't become disciplined by chance. You become disciplined by design. You design your mornings, and your mornings design your life. So when you wake up tomorrow, remember, it's not just another morning. It's a message to your future self. A message that says, I'm coming for everything I was born to do. Not someday, but today. Not when it's easy, but now. While the world is quiet, while the world is sleeping, that's when your greatness begins. You see, greatness is rarely loud. It doesn't scream. It doesn't announce itself with fireworks or fanfare. It grows in silence. It grows in the early hours when the world hasn't yet begun to pull at you. When you're alone with your thoughts, your breath, your goals, that's where the seeds of greatness are planted. In your decision to rise, in your refusal to settle, in your commitment to keep going even when the bed is warm and the world is still asleep. It's in those unseen hours that you gain your edge, not because you're better than anyone else, but because you're more committed to becoming your best. You stop competing with others and start competing with your past self. That version of you who used to sleep through potential, waste time, and doubt dreams. You leave that version behind, not all at once, but one disciplined morning at a time. That's how you break cycles. That's how you build legacy. Legacy isn't built in a single moment of brilliance. It's built in 1,000 mornings where no one is clapping, no one is watching, no one is asking you to be better, but you choose to be anyway. That's where the real work happens, in the quiet, in the discipline, in the consistency, because those small, intentional actions compound. They grow into habits, and those habits shape character, and character over time becomes your legacy. So the question isn't, can I wake up early? The question is, can I lead my life when no one's watching? Can you keep your word to yourself when no one else will hold you accountable? Can you make decisions based on your values rather than your mood? Because if you can do that, not just once, but every single morning, you won't need motivation. You'll have momentum. And momentum is stronger than any excuse, any setback, any distraction. Momentum is what carries you through the hard days. It's what keeps you moving when motivation fades, when life gets heavy, when the results are still far away. Momentum doesn't ask for proof. It creates it. One disciplined action at a time. One early morning at a time. One promise kept to yourself at a time. And once you build that kind of rhythm, it becomes harder to stop than it was to start. That's the secret. It's not about doing it once. It's about doing it until it becomes who you are. Because the person who rises early, who starts their day with purpose and clarity, becomes unstoppable. Not because life gets easier, but because they get stronger. Their mind sharpens. Their will strengthens. Their identity evolves. They become someone who leads, who creates, who chooses their future over their comfort. And that identity, that daily act of choosing discipline over ease, is what changes everything. You see, the world is full of people with big dreams, but no discipline. Full of people who want results, but aren't willing to sacrifice for them. They wait for motivation, for the right time, for the perfect plan. But the winners, they wake up and get to work. They understand that waiting is the enemy of progress, that every day you delay is a day you drift further from who you're meant to become. So you have to make a choice. Do you want comfort or growth? You can't have both. Growth requires discomfort. It demands early mornings, focus time, and delayed gratification. It asks you to do the hard thing now so you can live a better life later. It asks for consistency, not convenience. And every day, you get the chance to make that choice again, to pick discipline over distraction, purpose over pleasure, the long game over instant gratification. Instant gratification is everywhere. It's easy, it's tempting, and it's loud. But it never leads anywhere worth going. It gives you a moment of pleasure and a lifetime of regret. On the other hand, discipline is quiet. It doesn't feel good in the moment. It feels like sacrifice. But what it gives you is lasting. It gives you strength, clarity, confidence, and freedom. Discipline builds a life you don't need to escape from, a life you're proud to live. And when that discipline begins at the start of your day, everything else aligns. Your focus sharpens, your energy increases, your goals become clearer, and your days stop feeling random because you're no longer reacting to life. You're leading it. And that leadership, that quiet control of your time, your mind, and your energy creates a compound effect, one that will carry you into the future you've been dreaming of, not because you hoped for it, but because you built it. Building that future means understanding that time is your most valuable asset. Once it's gone, you don't get it back. Every morning is a deposit into your future. Every choice you make when the alarm goes off is either building your dream or pushing it further away. That's why waking up early isn't just about time, it's about ownership. Owning your decisions, owning your mindset, owning your life. You can't control everything that happens in your day, but you can control how you start it. You can control what you feed your mind, what goals you focus on, and what habits you reinforce. And when you start your day with intention, you stop living by accident. You begin to live with purpose, with strategy, with power. And that's when you start seeing results, not overnight, but inevitably. Because no one can stop a person who's disciplined, focused, and relentless about their vision. Relentlessness isn't about hustle for the sake of hustle. It's not about grinding yourself into the ground. It's about refusing to give up on what matters. It's about being so committed to your vision that no excuse, no failure, and no delay can derail you. That kind of fire is built in the early hours. It's built when no one's clapping, when it's just you in the silence, and you still choose to move forward. And the best part, it's not about perfection. You'll have off days. You'll miss alarms. You'll stumble. But consistency isn't about being flawless. It's about returning to your habits, your discipline, your purpose, over and over. That's what separates winners from the rest, not talent, not luck, but the ability to return to the process no matter how many times they fall, because the process is where strength is born, where resilience is built, where mastery is earned. Mastery isn't accidental. It's intentional. It's a result of deliberate choices, repeated actions, and focused energy. It's not something you stumble upon. It's something you create brick by brick, morning by morning. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you're laying another brick. Every time you rise before the world and take ownership of your day, you're building the foundation of greatness. And it's not about being the best in the world. It's about being the best version of yourself. It's about knowing that you showed up, that you honored your values, and that you stayed true to your path, even when no one was watching. That's what creates fulfillment. Not applause, not status, but self-respect. The deep, quiet pride of knowing you didn't settle, that you didn't coast, that you gave it your all. Self-respect is earned, not given. It comes from doing the things you said you would do. From keeping your word, especially when it's hard. from pushing through discomfort because your goals mean more than your feelings in the moment. And when you do that day after day, you build a relationship with yourself that's unshakable. You stop seeking validation from others because you know who you are. You know what you're capable of, and you've proven it, not just once, but repeatedly. That's the real power of waking up early. It's not just about time. It's about transformation. It's about shifting your identity from someone who waits for life to happen to someone who creates life with intention. It's about deciding that you are worth the discipline, worth the effort, worth the sacrifice. Because the person you're becoming, the one who rises early, who leads themselves, who stays consistent, is the one who will unlock the future you've always dreamed of. The future isn't some distant event waiting to arrive. It's being created right now in the choices you make today. And the most powerful choice you can make is to take control of your mornings. Because how you start your day shapes how you live your life. It sets the tone, the pace, the energy, and the intention. It either prepares you to win or leaves you chasing the day, always behind, always reactive. But when you take command of those first waking hours, everything shifts. You stop being at the mercy of distractions. You stop letting other people's priorities dictate your time. Instead, you become proactive. You become grounded. You become a person of focus, discipline, and momentum. And over time, that momentum compounds. It shows up in your work, in your health, in your confidence, in your relationships, because the person who owns their morning owns their life. Owning your life begins with awareness. Awareness of how you spend your time, how you manage your energy, and what habits you reinforce every single day. Most people drift because they don't track, they don't reflect, they don't measure. But if you want to elevate, you have to evaluate. You have to look at your patterns and ask yourself, are they moving me closer to my goals or further away? That's the real power of morning routines. They aren't just habits, they're anchors. Anchors that keep you grounded in your values, your priorities, and your purpose. When you wake up with intention, you don't just control your schedule, you shape your identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who leads, someone who executes, someone who doesn't break under pressure. And when you stack enough of those mornings together, you don't just change your day, you change your destiny. Changing your destiny doesn't require massive overnight leaps. It requires small, consistent actions taken with purpose. It's the decision to wake up 30 minutes earlier, to read instead of scroll, to move your body instead of hit snooze. These choices seem small, almost insignificant, but they're everything because they represent self-respect. They represent discipline. They represent the belief that your future is worth fighting for even when no one's watching. And as you keep choosing growth over comfort, clarity over chaos, and purpose over distraction, you begin to notice something powerful. You're no longer the same person. You've evolved. You've developed grit. You've built resilience. You've cultivated a standard for yourself that no longer allows mediocrity. And that standard becomes your new baseline, one that leads to excellence, one that attracts success, and one that builds a life most only dream of. Most people don't fail because they lack dreams. They fail because they lack structure. A vision without a system is just a wish. That's why your morning routine is not just a habit. It's your system. It's the framework that aligns your actions with your aspirations. It gives your day direction, your goals traction, and your life momentum. Without it, even the most ambitious person gets lost in distraction. But when you build structure into your life, starting with how you wake up, you start operating on a different level. You're no longer reactive, you're intentional. You're no longer scattered, you're focused. And that focus is what allows you to make real progress. Because it's not about doing everything. It's about doing the right things consistently, intentionally, and with excellence. That's the edge that separates those who talk about success from those who actually live it. Success is not reserved for the talented, the lucky, or the well-connected. It's reserved for the disciplined, for the ones who choose structure over chaos, commitment over comfort, and purpose over pleasure. Those who rise early, not because it's easy, but because it's necessary, because they know that success is built in silence when no one's watching when no one's clapping and when quitting would be easier than continuing. And in those moments, when it's dark, when it's quiet, when it's just you and your goals, you make the most important decision of all, to keep going, to keep building, to keep becoming the kind of person who doesn't need motivation to act because discipline has taken its place. That's where the real transformation happens. Not in the spotlight, but in the shadows. Not in the outcome, but in the process. Not in one big leap, but in 1,000 early mornings. 1,000 early mornings may not look impressive to others. They may never go viral, never be celebrated, never be acknowledged. But they will change you. They will sharpen your mind, strengthen your will, and deepen your character. Because each of those mornings is a declaration that you are not here to live by default, but by design, that you refuse to let life dictate your pace, that you are the architect of your future. And when that becomes your mindset, everything shifts. You stop chasing shortcuts. You stop wishing for luck. You start embracing the grind, the repetition, the discipline. Because you know that greatness is not a moment. It's a pattern of showing up day after day without excuses, without complaints, and without compromise. That's what makes you unstoppable. Not talent, not resources, but relentless consistency. Relentless consistency doesn't come from motivation. It comes from identity. It comes from deciding who you are and then acting like it every single day. You don't wait to feel ready. You don't wait for the perfect time. You decide that this is who you are now, a person who leads, who builds, who executes. And then you prove it with your actions, not your words. That's how identity is shaped, not by intention, but by repetition. When your actions and your identity align, everything becomes easier. You don't have to force yourself to show up. You simply show up because that's who you are. You don't need to rely on willpower. You've built habits that carry you through even when your energy is low or your circumstances are tough. And the beauty of that is once you become that person, success is no longer a question of if. It's only a matter of when. When you reach the point where your habits are stronger than your excuses, you become powerful. You become dangerous in the best way. Because now, nothing can stop you. Not a bad day, not a setback, not a lack of support. You've built yourself from the inside out. You've created a system, a routine, a foundation that is unshakable. And you did it by showing up when it was hard, when it was boring, when it was lonely. That's what separates the great from the average. It's not intelligence, luck, or charisma. It's endurance. It's who can keep going when no one's clapping. Who can keep building when no one's watching? Who can keep believing when there's no proof yet? If you can do that, you can do anything. Because you're not just relying on circumstances anymore. You're powered by conviction, discipline, and the clarity of purpose that guides every step. Consistency creates momentum. Momentum creates results. Results create confidence. Confidence creates habits, and habits create your future. It's a cycle, a powerful feedback loop that works whether you realize it or not. The question is, are you intentionally feeding that cycle with good actions, or are you letting it run wild with distractions and excuses? If you want to change your life, start with consistency. Start with the small things done every day. The 5 minutes of reading, the 10 minutes of planning, the quiet moment of reflection, the decision to say no to one more distraction. These tiny steps may seem insignificant now, but over time they add up to a mountain of progress, growth, and transformation that will elevate you beyond where you ever thought possible. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. Without discipline, motivation fades quickly. Motivation is fleeting. It's the initial spark, but discipline is the steady flame that keeps you moving forward day after day. Successful people aren't those who never feel lazy or tired. They're the ones who have trained themselves to push through, even when they don't feel like it. They have developed the habit of showing up consistently, no matter what. The secret is to create systems that support your discipline. Design your environment so that good habits are easier to maintain and bad habits are harder to engage in. Remove distractions, set clear priorities, and build routines that reinforce your goals. When discipline becomes a part of your identity, it no longer feels like a burden. It becomes a natural way of life. Consistency doesn't mean perfection. It means making progress even when it's slow or imperfect. Every small step forward compounds over time. The key is to never stop moving. When you fall, get back up quickly. When you miss a day, don't give up. Just start again. Remember, success is not about extraordinary effort once in a while. It's about ordinary effort consistently applied. Your mindset plays a crucial role. Believe in the power of persistence. Trust that your efforts will pay off eventually. Stay patient and stay committed, even when results aren't immediately visible. The greatest achievers are those who refuse to quit, who keep grinding long after others have stopped. Consistency builds discipline, and discipline shapes character. When you commit to showing up every day, you're training your mind to focus and your body to perform. This habit of persistence becomes a part of who you are. Over time, this identity of being consistent helps you overcome distractions, doubts, and temptations that try to pull you away from your goals. You don't need motivation every day, but you do need discipline. Discipline is the muscle that keeps you going when motivation fades. It's the force that pushes you to do the work even when you don't feel like it. That is the secret of all successful people. They work hard when others rest and keep going when others quit. Whenever you feel stuck or discouraged, remind yourself why you started. Reconnect with your purpose and vision. Write down your goals and review them often. Surround yourself with people who support your journey and inspire you to stay consistent. Your environment matters more than you think. It can either lift you up or pull you down. Consistency also teaches you to embrace failure as a part of growth. Instead of fearing mistakes, you learn from them and improve. This resilience strengthens your confidence and prepares you for bigger challenges ahead. Success is rarely a straight line. It's a series of ups and downs, but consistency helps you navigate that path.